Alright, happy 39 hours of fasting to myself. I got inspired to start an intermittent fast yesterday in memorial of the 2,403 lives we lost 80 years ago, so I plan to go on a 2,403-minute fast. I love having these events to fast for because they kind of act as an accountability system, right? I would hate to go on a fast for the victims of Pearl Harbor and then fail. Especially yesterday, I learned that there were still survivors from Pearl Harbor who are still alive to this day. I like to believe that one of them just might happen to watch one of my videos. They're following my fast and then, oh, I fail. Almost like giving them a middle finger, right? And so I always use these as an opportunity to go on a fast. I did one for 9/11, I did one for the anniversary of George Floyd, I did one for a bunch of other historical anniversaries. I'm going to do one on January 6th again. It's an accountability system, right? Even if none of those people watch, right? At least I can feel somewhat accountable for something. Now, you may have noticed that recently I've been stretching out my fast to go beyond just the 24 hours, right? Beyond just one meal a day. And there's a reason for that. I'll get to it in a second. To understand why I want to be able to push beyond 24 hours, we got to understand why I started fasting in the first place. 2 years ago, my compulsive eating was out of control. Now, if you've been watching my videos for many years, you may comment that I was never overweight. It wasn't about weight. It was about personal control issues. I had a hard time going to social events. I had a hard time with workplace events. I had a hard time with anything that had to separate me with my food. I used to have all sorts of anger problems relating to it. And I also mindlessly ate, right? One of the first things I learned when I started intermittent fasting 2 years ago was how mindlessly I would reach for stuff. The first day of the fast, I actually had to hide all my foods because I would instinctively reach and accidentally break the fast. Now, fast forward 2 years later, I'm no longer hiding stuff, right? So if we look just out here in my car, I still have half a chocolate bar from who knows how long ago. I'm not tempted to reach that because I'm very intentional with my food choices now. Here's a couple unopened chocolate bars, and the first day of the fast, there's no way I can leave stuff like that. I would accidentally reach and break the fast, right? I don't even think about hiding stuff anymore. Now, so I got used to the idea that I could go from one breath to the next without reaching for something. I got used to the idea of doing my daily tasks without having to reach for something, right? I got used to the idea that even when I'm fasting, my computer still works the way it should, my car still starts the way it does, the phone will still ring, it will still work, and if anything, it works a whole lot better because it doesn't have food residue all over it, right? I got over that. Now, the problem with eating one meal every day, there are a lot of benefits to that, don't get me wrong. You learn how to do a lot of things without eating. You learn how life works outside of food, and you start to enjoy all the other spoils in life besides food, right? I find ever since I started fasting, I find that other subjects are much more interesting to me. I find I enjoy social occasions a heck of a lot more, right? Although sometimes social situations can be a mixed bag. I do enjoy them a lot more, but it's forced me to problem solve about how do I tell people why I'm refusing food, right? That can be a curveball, but you know what? It's very important to speak up for ourselves, and having to speak up about why you're refusing food can be a good stepping stone to later on speaking up about even more important subjects, right? It gives you a little bit of a practice when the stakes aren't so high, right? Someday you may be having to speak up for important things in your life, in your career. You might have to speak up against other sorts of prejudice, right? If you can start with why I'm refusing food, that's a good stepping stone in my opinion. Okay, so I enjoy all those things more. Now the problem is there is one activity that I have not really learned how to do without a full stomach. Sleeping. And by doing these long 30-some hour fasts, it forces me to practice that. I want to get over that idea, the idea that I need a full stomach to sleep. It's been a big bother ever since I've started intermittent fasting. There's not another activity where I can't seem to do without food, right? I've learned to do a lot of new things without food, right? Let's name them. We talked about the everyday, just going from one breath to the next without instinctively reaching for something, your day-to-day activity, seeing people, having to explain to people that I'm fasting, and more recently, to enjoy sex without food, right? What else is going on? Obviously, one of the first things I ever learned to do without food is to enjoy a quarantine without food, right? I handled that very well, right? Actually, that was... It made quarantine so much more fun because it forced me to enjoy other subjects in life rather than just munching away mindlessly in front of the screen, right? I actually got to get some exercise. I programmed a new computer game and, enjoy traveling, right? When I went out to Wallace and I didn't have to think about the logistics of food, and I actually enjoyed the outdoors a lot more. Unfortunately, sleep doesn't seem to work in that regard, and I'm trying to change that by doing these long fasts, right? Beyond 24 hours. And that will be my next challenge for the next year. Now, one thing I really despise when I turn on the news or listen to anybody speak is people think that as soon as they get hungry, oh my God, they gotta eat, right? We even call any sort of food shortages, we call it hunger, right? Now, don't get me wrong. There are people who are struggling with food insecurity. I wouldn't label that as hunger, though. See, here in the United States, we like to believe, or in the Western world, we like to believe that anytime we have an off emotion, if we're sad for the day, oh my God, we got to put a pill in our mouth and swallow it, right? As soon as we even feel a hint of hunger, oh my God, we got to put something in our mouth and swallow it, right? And we love these quick fixes, when in reality, hunger could be a portal to... Like I said, when I was hungry during the quarantine, it forced me to distract myself with writing a new AI, with exercise, and all that, right? Hunger is a very positive emotion, right? You don't need to pop a pill or swallow something every time you get a different emotion, right? Those are things to be enjoyed in our colorful life, right?